Thank you, Mark. This is going to be good fun. It's Sandown. It's a historic track, so we've got historic race cars. John Bowe on pole position for the 6th time in a row. He's equalled his own record. Jim Richards will start alongside, running back through the order. All the familiar characters of Touring Car Masters are here. Gavin Bullis, former series champ, steps into Rusty French's Porsche this weekend, but we've got a nice mix here. But if you're not in a V8, Brad, on this track, you're going to struggle. Well,
you're going to be found wanting, and I've got to mention Bill Pye's Camaro. I had a look at it yesterday. Mick Webb does the engine for that car, and a spitting image of what Bob Jane raced back in the day. It's a fantastic looking car, but here's my old teammate. We were in a photo shoot earlier this morning, and he's on pole again. And he leads the championship points coming into this weekend. It's round 5 for TCM this year, 7 rounds with Bathurst and Phillip Island yet to come, but he's by no means home and hosed. Jim Richards is within striking distance, and of course both of those guys on the front row are former Sandown 500 winners and TCM champs. We'll also be on board with Tony Karanfolovsky in the, let me get this right, the Mustard Mustang. You could trip over that very easily. We should point out that one alone. We should point out too, Brad, double file rolling start for TCM in 2014. So a little NASCAR style, which obviously you're very familiar with, but it's all about getting it to the control line here. John Bowe starts on pole, wait for the signal. They'll give the green flag and say, righto, we're good to go. Because remember that the start-finish line here at Sandown is in front of the grandstand. Previously, it was up there where the finish line is in front of the pits, but it's all the way down here in front of the fans in the grandstand. 23 cars this weekend. Look at them all fan out, trying to find some room as they get the green flag to turn 1. Karanfolovsky is on the dirty stuff. Oh, he did stop the car and make it around the corner. Only just. Cricky made a great start in the Charger, but he's dropped back one spot from here. It's an amazing car. He was fastest for a little while yesterday. He was looking pretty strong, but JB is starting to stretch his legs already after only 3 corners.
It's Bowe, Richards, then Andrew Medicki in that black Camaro. He won the round here last year with a clean sweep, so he's got very good form as they sort themselves out on this first of 12 laps. Les Walmsley here, Jason Gomersall in the I-Seek Torada. That's got a bit of mumbo.
Listen to the roar of those cars. I mean, a V8, as you said, is definitely the right car to have.
That was
Andrew Medicki a little bit wide.
Up and over the top of Dandenong Road. Brett Yulden with the green Monaro just blocking the right front. Should point out too that red XPGT Falcon hardtop there. It's Eddie Albonisa's car, but Kim James has stepped in this weekend. He's on double duty with that and the V8 Utes. We'll see the Utes shortly here on Race Day Extra. Looking back here at Greg Crick, who was out of racing for 6 months, had carbon monoxide poisoning from earlier on in the year, was quite ill, spent some time away, came back in the last round a few weeks back at Sydney Motorsport Park, and is trucking along pretty nicely.
Well, and these cars are amazing. They've got so much horsepower and they're a little under-tied, but they're always sideways coming off the corner. Just too much horsepower to get down to the road.
Top 3 just moving away from Keith Kasuki, who's next in the blue XB GT Falcon. There he is, car number 52. He's one of competitors in the Pro Masters category, which is, I guess, the outright category. There's 3 championships within this one. Pro-Am, which speaks for itself, and Pro Sport, where teams can have drivers share a car throughout the course of the year. So everyone's got a trophy on the line. This is Brave over the top of the hill.
Around the outside.
Kim Jane, that's for 8th place.
Well, and as you saw,
right front, Cookie
unsettled that car a little bit when he hit that curve, and unusual to lock the outside tyre when you're coming into a corner, but he just had that car unsettled from the curve before. But I've been following Kimmy's progress through practice. He's been going a little bit faster every time he gets in the car, and he's certainly on a march forward.
He has driven this car before here a couple of years ago when he filled in for Eddie Albonisa, the regular driver and car owner. It's heating up at the front. Jim Richards has just taken a couple of tenths away from John Bowe this time around to move the Shannon's Falcon Sprint right up to the back of the 69 Trans Am Mustang. Medicki's not far away. So you've got guys who are the regular front runners in TCM, but when we're at Sandown, it's such a historic venue. John Bowe, 3-time Sandown 500 winner. Jim Richards, 2-time Sandown 500 winner. Medicki's been here for so many years as well. The experience that these guys bring to the table, just between 3 of them, outweighs the rest of the field.
Very true, and they're just starting to stretch it a little bit away from the rest of the field, but they've all got their cars have strength in different areas, and that's what makes this racing really interesting.
up and over the top of Dandenong Road.
They're all very neat and tidy, these three, aren't they? No, you're not seeing any wheels locking and cars terribly out of shape.
Great to have a listen to 69 Trans Am Mustang. They call it Mustang Sally. For well, what else can you call a Mustang, really? And there's no doubt that these things are making more power by a long way than the likes of Alan Moffat's Mustang and Pete Gagan's Mustang from back in the 60s and 70s. These are old cars, but the bits in them are pretty modern.
Absolutely true, but what you've got to say is these three guys, very different cars. You look at the shape, and in V8 Supercar main game stuff we talk about aero, you look at the Falcon Sprint of Jimmy Richards, and you wouldn't think it's anywhere near as slippery as what the Mustang is that John Bow's driving, but they've got the balance right with these cars where they're all producing similar sort of horsepower, power-to-weight ratios, and that's how they're capable of all racing against one another. Got a bit of a mad pack here behind our lead group, all dicing for position, and Kim Jane trying to work his way through these guys.
Oh, that's a lot of rev limiter in Tony Karafalowski's Mustang.
He's got that pretty hard on him, though. And this is a very, very busy part of the circuit, as you can see from his hand moving.
Off the road.
He's now braked himself there.
He'll lose 2 spots, maybe three. Kim Jane tries to round up the Charger. He'll do that as well. So the Mopar man slips back to the tail of the top 10 now. He'll be kicking himself. He's not happy. Geelong put out the finals last night, slipped off the road in the opening laps of race 1. Can only get better from here.
Well, you'd think so, wouldn't you?
On board with Tony Karafalowski, won the first race of the year at the Clipsal 500, had a win at Winton as well.
I mean, these cars all look great. I love that Falcon two-door, but you just can't go past the Mustang, can you? I mean, it's such a pretty car.
Hey, what about the SLR 5000
Yeah,
That's pretty good
more
too.
like a cardboard box.
This was the replay on board. Greg Crick, just lost the rear on the way in and ran it wide, up over the curb, stayed away from the sand, but lost 3 spots. He's slipped back in the order, so he'll have to do a little bit more work. This is the other angle.
Pretty lucky to keep that out of the sand. See him pluck a gear there and big puff of smoke.
This is Kerry McMahon in the green to run. Oh, that didn't look good.
Who is never looking like...
No, never looked like making the corner. They've done a good job to get this car repaired since the last round at City Motorsport Park. John Bow just sneaking away. He's lowered his own, in fact, Jim Richards' lap record from last year, a 1:15.8 last time around. It's an even second at the line. The legends of Aussie Motorsport out front in TCM. Well, if there's an achievement in motorsport, this man's done it. Jim Richards, he runs second at the moment in Touring Car Masters. Next weekend, we feature the great man on Shannon's Legends of Motorsport. Check the local guides next Saturday in Newmarket to catch up with Jimmy as he catches up with Neil Crompton. We run through an amazing career with some great vision from the 7 archive. This is Graham Alexander. He's archived the Monaro. Not in a filing cabinet, but in the gravel.
No, and he's not going to get out of there anytime soon. As you can see, it's got the sand beat up on the front wheels there, so he's waiting for a tow out backwards.
He's not the first, and he won't be the last to end up down there at Dandenong Road corner. Here is the replay. Unsettled over the curve. Oh, locked the left front.
Yep. Got the wheels turned, but still going in, and looked like he might get out, but I think maybe a bit too much throttle.
Right here, he's thinking I'm all right.
Yeah.
No, bogs down.
Needs a bit more rain over the preceding days. You can see this car, it's a bit unsettled. He's looking okay here. Locks that inside wheel, and that's it. Got the lock on, but of course when the wheels are locked, things just going whichever way the momentum is spraying it. I've got to say, those HT Monaros 327s, my dad bought one of those home. I thought it was a living end when I was about 8 or 9 years old.
Of course, Norm Beachy made Monaros famous with that amazing Shell 350 Monaro that he won the championship in. That is such a famous car and such a famous man. And it's appropriate we have this category at this track. This is one of the most historic venues that we've got in Australian motor racing. 50th anniversary of the Sandown Enduro this weekend, and Kim Jane did everything but hit the wall and take our camera with him.
And he didn't lift, which is why way Kimmy drives, he's doing a great job.
I was going to say, you raced against him for many years on the Calder Park Thunderdome in NASCAR. Bravery, not one.
Oh, absolutely. You know, I was saying earlier, Kimmy's one of the 2 bravest guys I think I've ever raced against. So he's certainly he's not afraid to give it a go, and we saw a bit of that action before.
Let's have a look at this replay here. Big XBGT. It was already wide and dancing on that curb.
Yeah.
And then lots of power. He's going to use it here. Right up over the curb on the concrete.
Just a little too much on the loud pedal there.
By the way, who was the other brave driver?
Wayne Gardner.
Ah, yes. Rider, driver, did it all.
Well, they're just very, you know, you tell when you spend time with people, you can tell what, you know, how much belief they've got in what they can do, and you know, it's measured, I guess. So, no, very brave.
Oh, look at this. Karen Filofsky is also turning in a bit of drifting action. A lot of limiter again there. Yeah. Listen to that thing scream.
It bangs hard onto the hard cut, doesn't it? Surprised it's not rattling his teeth out.
He's sitting in position 5. That's Keith Kasuki up in front in the XBGT.
And that limiter, you hear him running the car into the limiter now. It's really, you just need to change before you quite touch that. See that red light on? That's usually the sign to change gears. But of course, when he's in top gear, he can't do that. You really, that's an amazing shot from inside the car. You can't believe how vast that actually feels when you're doing it in real time and you're sitting in the car.
This is a replay on board down at turn 1. Ooh, got a bit of curb. Limiter, gear. It's all happening.
Went for the gear and wasn't too sure what to do.
Focusing here on Mark King, who in that red Camaro leads the way. In fact, in the Pro-Am category, Gavin Bullis driving Rusty French's Porsche this weekend, and he's found himself with a drama over at Dandenong Road Corner. Will pop out of what used to be the infield circuit here, that extra bit of bitumen on the inside there.
And we all know Gavin's a great peddler. He did some amazing stuff in the Mustang that he had. He's qualified midfield in the Porsche. I'm sure he's having a great day, but really, you know, you want to be the front. And back in the day, you know, when these things were the main category, you could win in a Porsche. You could win in a Mini Cooper S or a Lotus Cortina. They were also even, but as V8s have gone through their evolution, they get faster and faster, and there's nothing like cubic horsepower. These 2 amazing guys. It looks like Jimmy might have a bit of a problem. He pulled to the inside there, and Madeki went right around the outside of him.
So the Lubrimax Camaro moves through to second, but John Bow skipped away to the tune of 4 seconds. Oh, this will give us the Gavin Bullis story. Oh, gee, that's not nice.
He was
lucky it's a little car.
He got to the curb.
He was already losing it before he was in our shot. At least it stops quickly. Here's another angle. Out wide, loses the rear. Remember, it's a rear-engine car, the 911.
Yeah, I'd say that started to get away a little bit when he turned the car in at the top of the hill, and he just chased it down before he hit the curb. The car has spun around.
Here's John Bow, race leader, series leader. A couple of laps left to go in the first race of TCM this weekend. The 3-time Sandown 500 winner. Remember, he and Dick Johnson paired up for 2 wins in 94 and 95, and then he won in a Ferrari when there was an era here of production car racing for the Sandown 500. So I guess he's got a place in history, the only man to win a 500 in a Ferrari.
Absolutely, and if you watch his hand movements, they're really nice, smooth and controlled. Turns the car in, and he modulates the throttle to make sure he doesn't have to shuffle his hands backwards and forwards too much. Sign of a really, really good driver. He's just nice and smooth. The only time he lets the wheel kick back is if the car's, you know, hitting a bump or something, but other than that, very, very smooth operator. Pinpoint accuracy, a little bit of a minute there, but really, really, you know, JB's just one of the best.
Hasn't been the dominant race-winning factor this year that he's been in previous years. He had 1 win at Eastern Creek, he had a couple of wins in Darwin, 1 at Winton, didn't win a race in Adelaide, but he's been really, really consistent. Ah, Greg Crick off the road again at Dandenong Road, so that'll drop him out of what was 8th. That'll slip him back in the order as John Bow starts his final lap, this time across the line. Good fight here. Les Walmsley, Brett Newelden, Paul Freestone, and there's that Camaro that you mentioned at the start of the race. Bill Pye, car number 7 in the background. So many people asking, is that Bob Jane's actual Camaro?
Well, I mean, it looks so close. It's a spitting image of what Bob's Camaro used to look like. Great looking car. And these cars, they all sound terrific.
There is car number 7 carrying the same number that the great Bob Jane carried on his Camaro back in the day. Putting a move here on Paul Freestone's 68 model down at turn 1. That is position change for P12.
You wouldn't want to damage one, would you? You
I know.
sort of get close, but you don't want to rub up against anyone.
Well, Bill had some dramas at the first round in Adelaide when there was a bit of a start line accident, so he knows all about that, but this man knows all about being something of a winning machine. He's out in front. John Bowers on his way home. Nice margin back to Andrew Medicki, starting to go through a couple of lap cars as well, but he's got this one under control, looking really, really good, and so hard to beat in this category. Just does it right all the time, and the Mustang will pick up another win here at Sandown in round 5 of Touring Car Masters. John Bauer to the line. We've called that a few times over the years.
Yes, we certainly have.
And cruises at home. Medicki's second. Jimmy Richards will hang on for third spot. He's been a really consistent runner here at Sandown over the years. Race to the line. And Kim Jane will grab 5th right on the final lap. So it's a nice performance for him to push his way up the order. But they need to put a caravan on this man. He was too good.
Just too good for them today.
He wins in race 1. Les Walmsley rounds out the top 10. A few little dramas for Greg Crick, but the Charger is still a very, very competitive package. Great to have TCM with us at Sandown this weekend. We'll see them at Mount Panorama at the Super Cheap Auto Bathurst 1000 after the break, though.